Hey, today we're going to show you the new features on the Deere 3R and 4R tractors for 2024. Don't get the picture that I'm moving away from the 1025R, Kenton. You know I love
it. It's the workhorse of the industry.
When it has new features, we'll be talking about those as well. But this year, these are the two things that have changed. And so I think this is best for us to get started. We're going to have a whole series on these tractor changes, is showing them in action, especially this one over here. But in this episode, we're actually going to talk about the specifics of what's changed, walk around the tractors, and hopefully go into some detail on those. In later episodes, we're actually going to use them and actually do some testing with them.
Put them through the paces.
Let's get started.
You got to turn this whole bracket's got to turn in order to...
Kenton's working on the first feature we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the 3R features first here. The new LED lighting is standard.
Nice.
Now the positioning of the said light is not necessarily standard. Kenton is going to do whatever he wants with his.
We need the wrench.
The second feature on the 3R is a new radio. So if you order the radio, you get a Bluetooth radio now. With a noise canceling microphone. In a future episode, we'll try to do some testing on that. Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know if we can figure out a way to rig the audio so that we can hear the other end of the call or not, but we'll try to do a little testing on the noise canceling microphone and see how much noise canceling it does. It's actually mounted right under the radio is where they've put the mic. So it's a little different than when I did my aftermarket one. You know, I actually think this mic location is pretty good. You know, I did an aftermarket radio on my 3520 and was trying to figure out where to put that mic. And that one probably won't be noise canceling, whereas this one is. So
I see. So that's a cool feature. I mean, especially when you're promoting hands-free usage. Why not?
Now, that's the positive side. The other side of the coin is that I think that's all that's changed on this 3R for this season.
So you don't mess with perfection, right?
You're always the optimist, Kenton. Let's move to the 4R. Hey, Kenton, for this first feature, I'm going to have to raise the loader all the way up.
All the way up.
All the way up.
I'll stand right under it.
Someone's going to ask what the lift height is. Let me just say simply that there's been no change in that type of capability on this tractor. No change in loader lift capacity, no change in lift height. It's still the same 440R loader. And before we go any further, neither Kenton nor me are standing below that bucket, so the safety police don't need to worry about us. We do need to have this raised up to show you this cool feature. Hey, I may not be sitting under the bucket, but I'm in the shade of the bucket. That's perfect for today. What a wonderful day. Hey, if you don't know Kenton has a 4 Series. He's been on this channel several times, and so I invited Kenton to be with us. I thought he would provide some excellent insight on the differences as we kind of go through these with this new 4075R. And I'm also thinking he may drool all over it, so if you see, you know, any drool on the tractors, you may have to watch for that. The first feature we're going to talk about, Kenton, is this improved front axle.
Yes.
What do you see?
That is a lot beefier. And the hub inside is also much bigger.
Okay, so that hub there you're seeing.
Hub casting, the casting here underneath is reinforced under here, and the whole knuckle assembly here. I think the angle of this hub assembly is more obtuse, or whatever you want to call it, than mine.
So we got some photos of Kenton's tractor here we're going to show you here at the same time. What we've been told is that these features are added mainly for the snow removal audience up north. There's been a lot of these 4Rs used in snow removal applications with real heavy front attachments, maybe a big blade, maybe a blower, maybe a big snow pusher. And so they're finding that they needed to beef up this axle a little bit. And we can see that. Now, my understanding is that this beefed up front axle is part of the snow cab package on all the 4Rs, okay? Not just the 4075. It's on the 4075 whether you get the snow cab or not. So there are 3 cab trim levels. There's a standard cab, a deluxe cab, and a snow cab. Now, I'm not going to try to go through in excruciating detail what's different about each one, but we will put some of that on screen here. The snow cab has a different set of features than the deluxe cab standard. It's not like one is above the other. Okay, my first thought was a snow cab was more advanced than the deluxe cab, but they're just different, okay? So you'll see the features here. For example, the deluxe cab has the Bluetooth radio standard. The snow cab does not. Now you can get it added on, but that's an example of the deluxe cab being better, but the snow cab includes the 4th and 5th SCVs, I believe. So that's an example of it being, you know, a higher end feature. So you need to kind of look at that and work with your dealer to pick and choose the features that you want in your tractor. Overall, this is one of the 2 major feature improvements that I see on this generation of the 4R. So yeah, there are several small things, but the improved front axle is one of the 2 major features. Let's move on. Well, we've got the loader lifted all the way up. Let's take a look at the engine. We got a lot of questions from viewers on the engine. One of the biggest questions was, did they use the 5 Series, the 5E Series John Deere engine, or did they stay with a Yanmar engine on this particular machine? This one's very close. This engine's very close to the engine used in the 4066R. There's only 1 letter difference between the 4066R and the 75R here. This one is turbocharged, intercooled, same displacement as the 4066R, but something is just a little bit different about it. It's 74 point something horsepower. It does have regen. Okay, have you had any issues with the regen on your 4052?
No, other than you just got to let it do its thing, so.
Yeah. No, you know, major changes there. I think that's going to be one of the changes when we step into the 5E, one of the advantages of that. And on that topic, this is one of the episodes we have planned, is a somewhat detailed comparison between the 4075R and the 5075E. I think this has been kind of a gap in Deere's line. There is such a major step between the 4066R and the 5075E and this helps to lessen that gap a little bit, but I think you're going to see in that episode there's still a lot of differences.
And you're right, that's a nice bridge because as you pointed out in past videos, when you're using that with the transmission, as opposed to, it would have been nice to have the hydrostat. Well, now it'll be interesting to see your comparison with the increased horsepower of this and having the hydrostat as a standard feature.
Yeah. Not to spoil it, we haven't done some of the comparison tests we want to do, but this is going to feel much more nimble.
I would think so.
Than the 5075E. Okay, while we're looking here, the snow cab comes with the option of venting the exhaust through the hood. You can buy that option anytime, and you can even get, I think, an extension so you can have a stack coming out of the hood as an option. But by default, it comes down here on the side and comes out right here. So if you get the deluxe cab, standard cab, or the open station models, that's where the exhaust comes out. Presumably when you're working in the snow, you don't want that exhaust down near your tires or near your implement because it'll melt the snow and then the snow will refreeze and you'll have a mess.
I get it.
So if you have any further questions or thoughts on the engine, let us know. I think this kind of answers the high level. Obviously, I'm not some sort of a super diesel mechanic, so I'm not going to be able to help you with some crazy technical details, but I just can't say it's very similar to the 66R, obviously slightly different to get us a little bit more horsepower. Given that it's just a tinge under 75 horsepower, we don't need DEF. Just like the 25 horsepower cutoff, you're going to see a lot of tractors right at 75 horsepower, just slightly less than 75 horsepower, so they can avoid that DEF. That's one advantage to this tractor over, say, a 100 horsepower machine. You don't have to add any extra fluid.
Notice the lighting. You would think we're doing this in daylight, but it's actually nighttime. These lights are so bright.
These lights make it look like it's the middle of the day, and I'm even having to squint.
Oh gosh, I couldn't resist.
Yeah, it does have standard LED lighting now, but I don't think you're going to fool anybody and say that it's actually nighttime. LED headlights, LED cab lights on the front if you get the right cab configuration, they come with the rear, and if you don't, they're an option on the rear, right? So you have to get the exact cab option to get it all included. But there's 2 on the front of the cab, and then there's 2 headlights, all of them LED at this point. By the way, if you have an older 3R or 4R, you can get a complete light kit from Larsen Lights, just a complete kit to upgrade your built-in lighting on your 3R, 4R. And they're nice looking lights as well too. So that's a way that you can upgrade, but now you won't need to. They're standard. When talking about the lights, there's one other change here. This is all chrome here, Kenton. A little bling. On the older ones, the lens of the light comes all the way around, wraps around to the side. I'm assuming with the LED lights, they no longer need that. Are you a bling guy, Kenton?
It's more to polish. No, functionality.
My dad loved chrome.
Oh, really?
Oh my goodness, when he would get a truck, he would have everything chrome put on it. So.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
Yeah, he just absolutely loved it.
I wouldn't have guessed that. That's funny.
We were talking about the engine, of course, and maybe we should take a moment and talk about the 4075R. Is that really going to be any different from the 4066R? It's hard to know, isn't it?
Inquiring minds want to know.
Well, let's start with some basics, right? The loader capabilities, the 3-point hitch capabilities, anything hydraulic related is going to be the same. What we don't fully know is the hydrostatic transmission. Are we going to be able to pull more with this tractor than with even all the way down a 4044R? Well, this tractor's going to be a little bit heavier, right? Especially as it's equipped now with some wheel weights and stuff, so that's going to be helpful.
Right.
So the spec on this tractor is that it weighs 4,828 pounds. Now that's without a loader, without any of the wheel weights. That is the cab configuration. And I want to see how much heavier this tractor, as it's equipped, is than that spec. I think it'll be quite a lot heavier. But at 4,828, that's not probably enough weight to hold 75 horsepower down if it's really going to pull as good as, say, a gear drive tractor.
I would think not.
Now, the one place we know we will see the advantage of the horsepower is the PTO. Now, it is rated at 60 PTO horsepower, and that will be truly 60 PTO horsepower as compared to 50 whatever it is on the 4066R. So you will see that improvement immediately. So let's say you're using a snowblower or any sort of a PTO driven attachment, you will notice it. And I think that's one of the reasons, again, we go back to the snow removal up in the north. There's a lot of people using inverted blowers. So the ones that you drive forward with.
Yes, I've seen those.
So I think that extra horsepower is really going to help for that PTO application.
That would make sense.
A lot of people ask about these O-ring looking items here that come on every loader. We ripped it off because, well, Ken from Bolt On Hooks just hates seeing them left on. They're on there for one purpose, Kenton. Can you tell me what it is?
When they paint or when they paint and ship?
They're right up next to here to protect that O-ring from paint damage. Yeah. They just keep the paint on the outside of that. So on your loader, you can take them off, or you can leave them on just to annoy Ken. Yeah. While we're here on these Rams here, another viewer asked, hey, why are they black? Or why do they look black? Well, they are black. Deere has for a long time not used the regular chrome cylinders on all of the compact tractors. Even our 2014 model had black Rams, and there's some sort of a coating that's supposed to be better. I saw a thread on this years ago on greentractortalk.com. If you know anything about this, put it in a comment below and explain that to the rest of us. But yeah, this is supposed to be an improvement. I've never seen one of these rust at all, whereas eventually the chrome ones will show some rust.
Right.
Arguably the biggest new feature on this tractor is this Electro Hydraulic hitch control, right? And so we're going to show you that inside in a minute, but I want to show you one of Kenton's favorite features. Actually, I'll have Kenton show you one of his favorite features on the existing 4R, and then we'll talk through the changes, the improvements that the Electro Hydraulic has allowed us to do. What do you say?
Oh yeah, that sounds great. In order to activate the hitch control, or whatever they call it, you have to have the gear selector in low range. You have to set the parking brake, and you turn that switch on, and when you do the switch, To activate the control, remote control, it turns on the four-way flashers. And then you can go out and we can show how it works.
So we got the tractor configured now to be able to get this hitch control. Now in general, this allows us to move the tractor
Very slowly.
inch it really slowly, and it also allows us to raise and lower the hitch.
Yes.
Okay, so how does this work?
Well, actually, once we have it engaged in the cab, you have to hold this button down, the big down button, and then the tractor has an arrow for going forward or backwards. To go forward,
It truly is just
it goes
inching.
very slowly.
Okay.
But you also keep from running over your feet.
Yeah.
And then to go backwards, you hold the big button down and go
And
backwards.
this allows you then to get your pin lined up just the way you need it.
Oh, it's.
But what if I need to raise my hitch or lower my hitch?
The raising and lowering of the three-point hitch is on this control. Obviously, the arrow to go up is up.
Look at that.
Arrow to go down. Oh, makes hooking up implements such a treat. And it's such an improvement over the previous ones. There was a wheel about in the middle here.
Big knob. Yeah.
Big knob, and you had to push it in and turn it one way to go down and then turn it one way to go back up.
This seems even safer because you can.
Right. This is just like the big farm tractors. That's the way they are.
That's great, but what I think people really want to see is the electro hydraulic hitch. Let's take a look at that inside.
Yeah.
Okay, Kenton, let's begin to orient ourselves with this electro hydraulic control. There's a lot of stuff going on here in a relatively small amount of space.
Yes.
So what I'm looking at right here is your traditional three-point hitch control. So I'm lowering the three-point hitch, I'm raising it, and that works as normal. And I go down here and notice it's got a stop. So there's a stop, it's set at, I don't know, 7 or 8. I guess that would be 8, right? So when I lower that, it's going to go down to number 8. This works just like we're used to.
Well, it works actually easier because mine is mechanical.
Yeah, and
So
it's hard on your hand. I think that's a very key point. I actually think that's why they did this in the 4 Series. Those guys that are working snow all day, all night long, they're wearing their arms out, working the snow material all that time. Let's begin to break this down a little bit and see if we can understand all these different controls. This one right here is controlling my depth, okay? So I can go and, you know, that's how small of a step. That's every one of those is 1 notch. So that's controlling my preset, right? So if I want to stop at roughly 6.5 there, then when I push this down, I go to 6.5.
Gotcha.
Right? We raise this up. Now let's look back here under the covers. There's a couple of knobs back here. This is our rate of raise and rate of lower. And they are just analog knobs. So this one is the rate of lower. I'm going to turn that to turtle, and I'm going to lower it, and it goes down very. Look at that. I can even slow it down. Okay. I'll put it on about as slow as I can make it move. And there it goes. Now I don't expect this to change in speed depending on the weight of the attachment, because there's a controller on the side of the lift arm that is managing that height, right?
Yeah.
So since it's electrically controlled, I think even a really heavy attachment will lower at the same speed
That would make sense.
as a light attachment. We'll be able to test that in later episodes. There's one more set of buttons here. Well, I'm going to speed this lower up here a little bit. There's one more set of buttons here, and that is just an up toggle and a down toggle. So I put this in my down position, okay, with this lever. Then I can press the up toggle at the end when I want to pick it up, and when I press the down toggle button here, it'll lower it back to that preset position.
That's just like the big ag tractor.
So I could set this, and it doesn't have to be, so you know, I could have 2 different positions. I could set this at number 4, and when I go up, when I go back down, it'll go to number 4, okay? And I could still lower this more. So it's really gonna lower it to wherever this handle is. Make sense?
Yep. Very handy when you're especially doing ground engaging work, coming up to an end, turning around, you just hit the button and you don't have to fiddle with the...
Several different applications. If you're running some sort of a blade, any sort of a grading attachment, right? If you're wanting to get down to right at ground level again, you've got it configured perfectly, you want to get back to that same position, it's very handy just to hit that up and then the down. Now you can do that same thing here. So you got choices of how you control it, right? I mean, you don't have to operate it the same way, but they all are integrated together, and so you can choose how you, like let's say you don't want to raise it up all the way. Well, you can just do that and raise it halfway and then go back to your preset
Great
position.
options for individual operators because they have different ways that they can control that.
Now this is included in all 4R tractors with cabs.
Oh, okay.
That's not just the 4075R. It's all 4Rs with cabs. It's not included in the open station tractors. It doesn't matter which trim you get or which model you get. All 4R cabs have this feature. This is one of those features that they've brought down from the higher machines.
Yeah.
I think this is essentially identical to the 5M tractor today.
Oh, okay.
And the ones in the larger tractors get even more sophisticated.
A little bit, yeah.
Kenton, you're having to hold that door open.
Have we heard this song before?
We have, after all these years. Good news is that Ken from Bolt On Hooks has developed a door opener here that'll shock type opener, just like on the other side. Yep. Finally, we can get this propped open. BoltOnHooks.com, use code TTWT for 5% off. I don't have mine yet, but this has been a complaint for all these years. And the reason Deere didn't put it here is they don't want you using this door for egress.
Right.
But what we're doing right now is how the real world uses it, right? You come around here to either talk with me about the project that we're doing,
correct,
or perhaps to see something on the machine, and you have to stand there with the door open. Or perhaps we're actually working on the tractor.
And if I want to do something with the loader, you can stand here and do about the door banging in the back.
We are here to talk about the lift arms. We have a Category 1 3-point hitch.
Yes, that's a Category 1.
I'm a little surprised
how many
at that.
horsepower was this again?
Exactly, 75 horsepower tractor, Category 1 hitch. The 4M and 4R tractors have always had a Category 1 hitch. The 4M HD, or heavy duty tractor, came out with a Category 2 hitch. I actually expected this tractor, being so much larger, to have the Category 2. In fact, to be honest, I expected all the new 4Rs to come with Category 2.
Oh.
And the reason is because Category 2 will shrink to fit Category 1 attachments. You just put bushings in. In fact, I think the way the balls work on those, you just rotate them and they have the two different size balls. So I'm a little disappointed to see the Cat 1, especially with this much horsepower. My first attachment that I got for it is Category 2, and so I'm struggling to figure out whether I'm even going to be able to demo that attachment at this point. You can get the replacement lift arms and top link, okay, from Deere, and they're quite pricey, but you can, the ones from the 4M HD do fit on this tractor.
Wow.
It's interesting, you have to have the key on to lower the hitch now.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, because it's electronic.
It sort of makes sense, right?
Yes, it does.
I'm not sure which connector's which here, and I'm not even positive these are the two connectors, but there's two features that I think are new on all 4 Series models. That is a CAN bus connector, okay, to allow you to get to that circuit so that you can see all of what's going on electronically in the tractor, as well as a 30 amp rear power, okay? To me, the 30 amp power is very nice.
Yeah.
So we have 30 amps here to the rear of the tractor for accessories, anything else we might want. We don't have to go all the way to the battery with our cables anymore, right? This is something I've been asking for years, and I would love to see Deere standardize on it. I'd love to see them go a step further and actually put a kind of a fuse block that I could plug in additional fuses and additional connectors, maybe just a standardized plug that we would use across all tractors, but at least getting 30 amps of power back here
Yes.
is going to make it a lot easier for accessory manufacturers.
Yeah. But, and a lot of applications that, well, for those that want to use electric sprayers, and it'd be nice to just be able to plug it in right there.
That's right. So we can see a couple of the snow cab features here. It comes with the 4th and 5th SCV. Makes sense for inverted blowers. They want that rear hydraulics. They're going to need that standard. And also the all-important license plate holder. I guess for our neighbors to the north, that's a big deal.
Oh.
Here in the USA, it's really not relevant at all. But they really brag on this little downward pointing light that they have above the license plate holder. So,
Oh, you gotta love
so
it.
Kenton says that I need to put a tractor time with Tim sign there.
Emblazoned on it.
Yeah, have it all illuminated at night, but
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Now this is not changed, but I just want people to know this is a steel. That's got a magnet on it. This is a steel rear end. The smaller tractors, 3 and under, have cast aluminum, but these are cast steel. That's going to add to the weight a little bit when you get to the 4 Series tractor. Okay, Kenton.
I'm sorry. What's up with that? Oh gosh. Okay, I'm back.
Don't let it slap you in the face.
Oh.
Now, Kenton, this is a feature that they're really proud of. This is the rear wiper, and it has a return to home feature.
Oh.
If I push the right button here, it always returns to home, and apparently home is right up there at the top.
Apparently it doesn't get too far from home.
Now, the 3R didn't get this magical feature.
Oh, too bad.
It's still stuck with the stay wherever you got turned off wiper.
I could live with that.
Hey, this will make you trade right here.
That just pushes it right over the top, doesn't it?
I think we've lost Kenton.
Oh, turn me off.
There was a lot of questions from viewers about other things that had changed, and so what I want to really illustrate is that is the changes, right? Nothing else that I can see has changed. The cab itself is the same. We don't see any larger cab. We don't see any different in structure at all. Kenton did notice that there's a 3 or 4 mounting lugs or whatever that are kind of built-in, welded-in nuts on the side of the cab. They're on the 3R and the 4R now, where you can put ram mounts, you can put any other types of brackets. They're getting to the concept the bigger tractors have had, that you're going to want in-camera monitors, you're going to want phone holders, there's just all kinds of things you're going to want inside. And clearly that didn't cost them much to change, so that was nice additions there. We don't see any changes in the seat. People asked about road speed. There will be no changes in the road speed unless it's just simply by having a different size tire. We don't really expect any changes in the transmission from that standpoint. Again, I don't know if it will pull as much as the 75 horse engine will suggest. We'll hopefully find that out.
It's going to be interesting to see.
In our next episode, we're going to hook this onto the TS10, the 10-foot flex swing mower.
Oh, yeah.
That's another tool that you've been drooling over that I have.
Yes, I like.
We've shown that mower on a 2038R. Mm-hmm. Struggling.
The video looked pretty good.
We've shown it on a 3046R. And now we're going to show it on this tractor here, and we expect this tractor to just be perfectly suited for that mower because of the hydrostatic drive.
Oh, yes.
Ample horsepower. If you have any questions, leave them below. Unfortunately, we probably won't answer them in the very next episode because, well, we're going to shoot that episode as soon as we get done with this one. But we will try to make any corrections in a pinned comment below, right? So check out the pinned comment. If you feel like that we might have made an error, let us know, and any corrections will show up there because it's hard to get some of this information perfectly accurate. And in that pinned comment, we can try to maybe put a little more flesh on some of the bones here that we've talked about today, right? Is it a worthy upgrade, Kenton?
Well, I'm salivating some, but yet more is yet to be seen on what its capabilities are. And
okay, so that 3-point hitch change is not enough to get you too excited.
Not quite. I do like the features that they've added. I think that's certainly worthy considering, and especially if you're doing that much work with your 3-point hitch. And certainly anybody will appreciate the new improvements on the remote control for the tractor. That's
Good stuff.
it is indeed. Yep, a lot of fun.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come. The old is gone, the new is here.
Together,
it
doesn't matter at all.
Matter at all.
Oh yeah. Oh boy, we're ready for prime time.
We ain't got a barrel of money. Maybe we're funny, but we're sailing along, singing a song side by side.